You in your notes you had said you wanted to speak on the morality of OnlyFans. What were your thoughts there?
Oh, I was just wanting everyone's opinions. I think it's fun to go around with thoughts.
Sure. Well, I assume since you do OnlyFans, you're probably in favor of sex work, I imagine. No issues there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with it.
What about you?
I don't have any major problem with sex work, and I don't think that we should stigmatize women who do it as much as we do.
Okay, your thoughts? I mean,
I kind of just go with the flow. I don't have an opinion.
well, just a little closer. Sorry. You're good.
I don't really have an opinion. It's kind of just maybe not the most favorable thing, but it's something that people are going to engage in either way. So
it can do some good though for people.
Really quick before we dive into that topic, I had a question for you. So you've been with Kate for almost 12 years. When you first met her, I don't imagine you were doing any form of sex work, at least when you guys first met. I'm imagining about midway into the relationship, you do start either on Patreon or on OnlyFans, you do start getting engaged in sex work. Was this like a mutual kind of push? How did you feel? Because I've heard some guys are like, I don't know how I feel about my girl doing this kind of stuff. So what was when, I guess, that sort of came about very initially in the beginning? Did you have thoughts on that?
I wasn't like, it was a way more diluted version of it, I guess. Like on Patreon, it's like, you might gate a bikini picture behind a paywall, right?
Yeah, they were a lot more strict.
I still remember it was like one of the cosplayers that she followed and looked up to, who was, kind of big at the time. She announced that she had made $8,000 a month on Patreon, and like at that point in time, still like cosplay and most of the online stuff, it's like an starving artist like enclave, and so like 8,000 was all the money in the world. And I think you kind of just replicated, some of the things, and like, the bikinis aren't even as lewd or whatever. And so for me, that was just like, I mean, this could have gone on Instagram, and so I had no problem with it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it kind of just, as it grew, it was kind of just like a mutual discussion per, I guess, level of like more not safe for work you get. And then we just saw an opportunity. And like, I don't collab with other guys on it, right? He's the only guy I've ever been with. So it's a lot of solo stuff. So it never really came up as an issue.
Okay, so you don't do external BG content?
No.
Do you guys do BG content together? No?
Yeah. We've taken advantage of how the talk goes, and like sometimes we'll do like a TikTok or like a story where there's like implication that there might be another person there, and then they might even show up, but like it never actually makes its way into the content. Yeah.
Okay, but you guys haven't actually done anything together on that. Okay.
And has any of the OF stuff created any relationship issues at all? Any conflict?
No, I don't think it's like not the OF stuff.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, it's like it's more just working with your spouse is like a whole different ball game. I don't think it's specific to OF. I think it's just more specific to us working together. And like I joke that we're like married maybe 20 years because like what is the average person's how much time does the average person spend with their spouse in a year, right? We're like, I think within 40 feet of each other for the last 11 years.
Yeah.
That's got to be doubling up on, how much time you spend together. So
yeah, because he does like all the analytical parts of social media and the strategy and stuff like that. And I just, for the longest time, would just live stream, and then I would film content.
Do you have other people come in and film your scenes? Like for
We've had other girl photographers in the past, but now mostly just a tripod.
Oh, gotcha.
It's been scaled back. During the heyday, we had like teams of people, and then they would come up with everything, ideas and stuff. It was very professionalized, kind of like what you guys have here. Is like her getting run through a list of like possible topics, trending things that are working, and then her kind of checking off what she wanted to do, and then they would just film, and they would like knock it all out in one day in a month, and then that was kind of the
But to be clear, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
You don't do any other male to female content?
No.
Just solo stuff.
Yeah.
because I don't want to do some R&D before I came, and I did subscribe. And I was like, okay. And I thought I saw, because I can usually tell, but maybe it's just toy manufacturing has gotten very, very good. But promise, it looked very real.
Thank you.
It's funny because the brand of that toy is called Real,
Did you just say that you subscribe to her?
For R&D.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Research and
She's a
development.
girl's girl. You can't hate.
So the
And
brand,
plus, she had a sale.
it's called Real C, asterisk CK. That's what those are called, yeah, because they are hyper realistic.
So now it's 30 million and 15.
Yeah.
Is that because of you? You put it over the top.
Oh, that's what it's. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Real chicken.
Yeah.
Does it bother you at all, like, that there's thousands, tens of thousands, millions of men just being fucking degenerate gooners over your wife? Does that bother you at all?
I guess I've always approached it from like, who doesn't want to be potentially married to like an A-list, a Hollywood star, right? And it's like that happens whether she makes, like any kind of content like that or not. Like it's unavoidable, and so it's almost just like if it's happening, like somewhere, then does it?
Well,
really,
I mean, it definitely happens more though.
No, yeah, for sure.
Like significantly more, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's. I guess that's the heart of the questions. It's always hard for people, I think, to reconcile, myself included. You know what I mean? Like, if your significant other is undressing for people to see, you know what I mean, and doing other things. I'm guessing that there's other scenes that you do, masturbatory things like that. I'm guessing that's like it's got to be tough to watch, though, right? Like, no.
I think maybe like I agree. If I was dating someone who was doing OF before I was kind of steeped in all the thing, I think so. But because of the way it kind of started, we were kind of on the thing together. Like every part of it was like, is this something that we would do potentially? And if so, like for what, right? Mm-hmm. And I think when the decisions are made in that way, it's a little different. It feels like there was either of us could have basically been against it, and that probably would have been the end of it. But both of us were kind of on board, and then we could kind of tap out whenever we wanted to, in theory.
Are you going to have kids?
We kind of decided when we were dating that we didn't want kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time with my brother's 3 kids, and that's kind of the way she gets the kids feel.
Yeah. A lot of animals.
The question that comes up, obviously, all the time, I'm sure you've heard it before, is like, what happens when little Johnny comes home and is like, I got beat up at school because, people are like, look at your mom. And like, what's the navigational principle there? Even if you have kids that aren't yours but are around, that could happen to them too, right? Especially considering if people are breaking into your house, I'm guessing, and I hate even saying that, but I'm guessing you've been doxxed all over the place, like most of us have, right? So, I mean, that's a real possibility, right? So how do you navigate that?
I have a variant perception on that. Like, when I hear it, it's kind of like, I don't know, like, I can see where that logic, kind of comes from. And especially, like, if you say, like, like in the mid-2000s, little Johnny grew up and his mom was, like, one of the first online, P-stars, that would be kind of I think that would be pretty bad, right? But, like, I think going forward, the way I see it, OF became so ubiquitous, and then like it's still not like fully like like a P company studio production.
Yeah.
I actually think that like no one's gonna care by that time it rolls around. And
well, we already have those kids. Like we have reports of kids getting bullied over it, and that there was that one kid. He unalived himself, right, because of the incessant. Like kids are cruel, right? They can't help themselves. It's part of how they engage with the world, especially young men. Like you probably remember when you were in school, we're all assholes. So, I mean, I fully expect that that's not going to change, right?
I think, this is probably a dim view of society, but I think that like, having financial resources is going to be way more important than like that social aspect, because like, especially now, like, sure, you can bully a kid for his mom doing OF, but you can bully a kid for anything or nothing at all. And incessantly, 24/7.
Yeah, but it's like scalable, right? So if you're getting bullied for being fat, it's like, okay, you can lose weight, right? If you're getting bullied for being ugly, maybe you could do some things about that, which kids, half of bullying with men, for instance, is part of that, like, look, you need to get your shit together, right? In order to be part of the in-group. But you can't, like, take that part away, right? You can't take that. You could even be like, well, mom quit. Mom stopped doing it. And they don't, like, we don't care. They got the videos, right? In the information age. So I think isn't it like scalable that way?
I actually think I feel worse for the people who are gonna get bullied whose mom didn't do OF, because like how hard is it to be like, I found his mom's OF and she never did it.
What do you mean?
I mean, everyone uses a screen name. You just have to find someone who kind of similarly look like, you know, their mom potentially would at a younger age. You can, like, there's going to be kids manufacturing that as a way to bully. And so, like, you know.
Yeah, but you can still hide behind the fact of the matter, right? So, like, if it's the case that you're saying, like, but yeah, I got
AI,
it.
where it's going,
but the fact of
it's
the
gonna be
matter
pretty
is,
easy.
and when we're looking at AI, here's something that's interesting, because you bring up a good point. I hadn't thought about this before. Like, okay, well, they could just make this shit up anyway, right? I was in a Discord call the other day with a Zoomer I was talking to. I don't remember, some politics something. And he sent me an AI video, and I had to take a double take at it. Like, I thought at first it was real, and I realized something important, which is that because of this age gap, I got great social skills. Zoomers didn't really get great social skills. They got different skills. And one skill they have is when it's fake media, they can fucking tell in 5 seconds. Like, it's crazy. They can just look at it and be like, nope, that shit's fake. Look at this. They can tell that shit. And it's because their brains have been wired towards that, and mine was not, right? It was wired towards having social interactions. So that built a different skill set. Zoomers, they have a completely different way in which they engage with the world. So I guess I'm not all that convinced that even if AI advances, if your mind is being wired with the AI as it advances, it seems like you can tell way easier when it's bullshit.
I definitely think there's an element of that. Like, it's very bad for like boomery people. Like, I had a therapist show, you know, I don't know why he did it in the middle of a session. He showed me an Elon Musk video that I was like, I didn't know how to tell him that that's not Elon Musk saying that thing. But like, on that note, I would love to see the study where it's like, you know, able to tell that that's AI, but like, what is that person's position on the video? Because what I've found is that if you want to believe it, you're gonna buy the AI. And it's like kind of like a lot of times when you're neutral or you don't want to believe it, where you start looking at it critically and you'll see the seams. If you want to believe it, and that's the bullying part, right? If you know, your kid wants to bully my kid, even if she never was on OF, boom, AI, there's a video, look at that. And especially if your kid's popular, just point it around, look, his mom's on OF, right? Yeah. And that can happen to anyone's kids, whether their mom did or didn't do it. So
yeah, but like I said, I agree, but you still have the fact on your side. And so it's at least something to give you vindication. Like, hey, this isn't even true, right? This is nonsense. I agree with you that you could do this with anything. But I think that you at least have a shield if you're like, no, that's all bullshit. My mom is a dietitian in Chicago. Okay, she's never done any of that. And I do think that their brains are wired a little different, where they can tell, like, and they even have the name, right? AI slop. That's AI slop. It's AI slop. That's AI garbage. They can tell in 5 seconds. It's because that technology, they're growing with it, and to us, we're being introduced to it. You know, rather than having it part of the relational, you know. Now, maybe you and I different because we're streamers, so you probably see AI slop all the time, right? Like constantly everywhere that you're looking. But for the average person, I don't think that's the case at all. I think that Zoomers are seeing a lot of it, and they're messing with it, and they're playing with it. They're playing with the music. They're playing with everything. But they seem like they can detect it pretty easy. And anytime you have like a generation which is interacting with a specific type of AI, or not AI, technology, it seems like they can spot when things are faked by that technology much easier.
For now. Well, how will it be in 10 years?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I've been hearing that about AI for a long time. And, you know, I remember the old chat bots. You know, the old chat bots used to be able to search the internet and pull all kinds of stuff up, too. It's, I know that people are really kind of getting behind the old AI is going to take over the world thing. I'm pretty skeptical.
We have to be clear between functional generation with programs that can create pictures out of just, but it uses a data bank, if you will, of pictures that it can collab together and then produce a result that looks very real. But we must also understand in our generation is that AI is the highest form of plagiarism. it can only produce what has already been produced. And yes, it does like sew things together in a way that it makes it something that's different. But just like programming, like as a programmer too, it suggests code that's already been written. So it's
Jonna, did you have a question?
Oh, no. I just had thoughts on something that was spoken about earlier regarding like bullying of the kids of OnlyFans models. And I think when it comes to a bullying issue, I don't think people should be told to like fix the thing that they're being bullied for, or like even on the parents' end. I think that has a lot more to do with the bully in general, and that bullying itself should be countered. So like if you have a bully who's gonna incessantly bully a kid of an OnlyFans model to the point where like their life is severely negatively affected, regardless if they come across that kid or not, or they're like, we have like there's no more OnlyFans models, that kid is still a bully and they're still going to find a target and relentlessly bully them for whatever. So I think that's where the issue should be countered, rather than saying fix what you're being bullied for.
Thing is,
it's on the parent side.
It's interesting. You have these conversations on bullying, especially, or things like this. Like, if you wanted to improve like the status of your social group, or somebody wants to be a part of it or something like that, isn't there a certain amount of hazing that's just kind of intrinsic? Like there's a bit of hazing which is just kind of always part of the process of human social activity. So if you're going to tell a woman, for instance, that she was really overweight in high school, and like, it's unhealthy, right? And maybe, she's not the most pleasant person to be around because of it, or something like this. How do you even approach that without it reaching the aspect of bullying? Like, what's the difference between marking you need to do this for self-improvement and not? Like, it can't both be perceived as bullying?
I don't think it's people in her school's job to like meanly make fun of her weight or anything. I think it's the job of people in her life, such as her family, if she's overweight, to like let her know about that and make sure she becomes healthy again.
Yeah, sure, but those people
I don't think hazing and bullying is.
Yeah, but those people still want to be part of social groups, because we're human beings, right? And we're pack animals. And if you want to be a part of a social group, they're gonna like have some kind of hazing ritual for you, no matter what.
Well, you're talking more about like a cliquey popular group.
Not even a cliquey popular group, just every group.
Today in like schools, there's like normal people who aren't weird like that and who won't like reject you from being friends with them. Well, it doesn't seem to be the case, or we wouldn't be crying about bullying all the time all over the internet, everybody, right? Oh, I've been bullied at school, and bullied at school, and bullied at school. And it's like, you get to the details, a lot of times it looks like regular social hazing to me. Now, I understand edge cases or extreme cases where it's just like incessant and they just won't lay off, right? Even when I was in high school, that was the case. Mm-hmm. But that sort of social hazing still happens. And to some degree, I think it's pretty healthy to have social hazing. It kind of puts people the direction that they're supposed to be, where they're supposed to go, the groups that are more in line with what their values or structures are, right? And isn't that part of the hazing process? Well, you just mentioned like being in line with people's values, because that's what friendship is based on. It's based on character. So if you were rejecting someone from your friend group or not being friends with someone because of their body shape, I think that's very superficial and beyond the scope of healthy social.
You think so? I mean, I'm not sure, because like overt characteristics can tell you a lot about a person. Like if they don't have like for instance, let's take her for instance, right? There ain't no way that didn't take you years of hard ass fucking work to do. There ain't no way, right? That took years and years. And by the way, the diet that like IFBB pro bodybuilders have to go through, holy shit! It's like it's so brutal. It's like that's a lot of discipline. So people like that are probably not gonna, they might have people who aren't IFBB, pro friends or things, but the value structure is kind of leaning towards, I'm very disciplined, I'm very regimented, I'm very goal oriented, and by the way, I can stick with something in order to get to the results of that thing. Yeah. And so if other people, if they're like morbidly obese, for instance, right? That would be setting out the flags. Hey, I have completely different structured values than you do in the way that I live life, right? And wouldn't that be a red flag for you and like your social group? Like, hey, maybe we should vet this person a little bit. And I think that's healthy.
I mean, I certainly agree that like overt, like your appearance can't, like for example, in that example, can tell you a lot about a person.
Yeah.
But I still think friendship goes a lot beyond that. Like, if you really had a genuine connection with this overweight person, then I think you could still certainly have a good friendship with them.
I think we're saying the same thing, right? But you're talking about a connection barrier now, right? So how do you connect?
It wouldn't barrier me from connecting.
Maybe not.
A lot of normal people.
Sure. I'm not saying you specifically. I'm just talking about a connection barrier between social groups and other people. And it's like, look, it doesn't look like it's changed that much to me. Usually ugly kids hang out with ugly kids, and good-looking kids hang out with good-looking kids, and fat kids hang out with fat kids.
I wouldn't say it's that binary.
What's that? Well, it's not that clean, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like, social groups seem to formulate around similar value structures, and so it's like...
Well, that's not fully value structures.
Can I say something about that?
Well, I think it is, because that's what the example is when you're talking about like somebody who's regimented.
You said ugly kids hang out with ugly kids. Being ugly is not a value structure.
No, that's not the value structure. The value structure is the tell of like, how's this going to interact with my group structure, and how's this going to interact with the way that I interact with other things. That's how people. Now we don't think about these things, right? They're kind of intuitive, but that is how social paradigms work. We vet people based just even purely on looks. We do this. You're going to be way more likely, for instance, for a guy to pull over and change your tire if you're good looking. And that's if you're a guy or a girl, right? Rather than if you're obese, guy or a girl. And the reason is, why do you think that is? It's like, it seems like...
people judge based on appearance. But what I also want to add is, having just graduated high school and witnessing cliques and friend groups all around me, I want to say that the most long-lasting, healthy friendships or friend groups don't take those superficial external factors as seriously.
There wasn't hazing in these groups?
There was, but the groups that took that more seriously did not last as long, did not have as healthy of a group dynamic. They would talk about each other behind their back. Like,
I mean, that's common in high school,
friend groups and friendships that are not so based on those sorts of things are a lot healthier and better. And I also want to ask you a question. If you had a close friend who suddenly like gained a lot of weight to the point of becoming overweight, would you suddenly distance yourself from your friend?
My God, we would be so mean to him. we would be fucking horrible. But the thing is, it's like, I had a time where I gained a bunch of weight. People were fucking horrible to me. And the thing is, it's like, it's kind of good, right? It's kind of good. It's like, there's a motivating factor. Like, look, I hate to bring this back to you again, right? But these like IFBB pros and these bodybuilders and shit, they are the meanest fucking people to each other.
To each other.
To each other. Yeah, they're the meanest fucking people to each other, right? But it's not malicious. It's not malicious. It's like
it can be a lot of the time to other people.
I know. From the outsider's perspective, if you were to see some of these people when they're working out and they're like, "No, pump it up, you pussy! One more," like. But there's a powerful motivator there that's not designed to be malicious.
I want to throw in, but to people not on that level, I would say generally these bodybuilders are the kindest people.
Yes, they're very nice people.
What we put ourselves through in our minds and our close people through, we know what that's like. No one's worse to myself.
And I completely believe that. But a high school bully who's relentlessly bullying someone for their weight to the point of effing up their mental health. What I'm saying is social hazing can draw those kinds of extremes, and therefore that's why I believe in countering.
Social hazing and then bullying to the point of like ruining someone's life are
totally agree.
And I'd love to say something about that because I went through that horrendously growing up. So I actually got kicked out of school. I was put in a therapeutic day school. I self-harmed for 12 years. I was obese until 19. I was a binge eater, and then I got diagnosed. I flip-flopped and went into anorexia for 3 years. So I lost a bunch of weight. I was over 330 pounds, but I got blackmailed, right? So I got blackmailed by 2 high school boys who like sent my photos around the school, and kids every day would come to school and tell me that I was fat and pick on me because I grew up with well water. And eventually I got kicked out because I was constantly suicidal. I was in and out of the mental hospital, and this was when cyberbullying became like a big thing. Like everybody was on MySpace, everybody was on Facebook. Now I can say it has motivated me as a person now. When I was 13 to 16, I was cutting myself every day, and I was on mental health pills, and I never fit in, I was never accepted, and then still until this day, like where I'm accepted now, I created that community. I started an online community that I run around the world with women. It's been hard for me to interject myself into society in a way that other people accept me, whether they see my arms or maybe I'm really high anxiety, and it took me years to love myself. years and years and years to come to a place where I was like, I don't care what people think about me. I'm going to dress how I want. I'm going to listen to the music that I like. And so I think I do agree with what you're saying, where it can be a motivator, but I really think it depends.
I don't even think, I think this kind of be misconstrued a bit. So when she said there's a difference between hazing and bullying them to the brink of like gonna unalive themselves, I agree with that, right? I do think that there's social hazing though. Mm-hmm. And I think that it is healthy, and I think that it is necessary. And it doesn't even always have to be super brutal. Like the way that women socially haze, usually I think that that's actually more brutal than the way that men do. Okay, yeah. I think it's way more brutal than men. It's like, we just look at each other and we're like, you fucking idiot, you're wearing the wrong shit. And we push each other and shove each other and do shit like that and whatever. No one cares, right? But women do all kinds of like backbiting and rumor mongering and all sorts of things to shit test. And it can be, I understand that, right? But what I'm saying is that social hazing itself, I think that if you take the bullying aspect and you say, well, we have to eliminate social hazing because it can lead to bullying, I think that that's when you're going way too far. You're going outside of basic human interactions, because we do kind of need to socially haze each other a bit. It's kind of necessary.
I would like to add, I do kind of think that we are acting as if like we're talking about social hazing as if it's like the only way to push someone in the right direction. I've had very kind, very supportive friends tell me that something I was doing wasn't good for me and like really encourage me. And it has like, those have been things that have changed my life.
You had friends who did that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the social hazing comes before the friend comes. That's part of the social hazing process. That's where you're kind of developing the group dynamic, right? The social hazing happens before there's a friendship.
Yeah, but if I meet someone that I don't like in some way, or their values don't align with mine, my goal isn't to change them. My goal is to find someone who I do want to be friends with.
Yeah, I understand your goal may not be to change a person, right? But you probably have people that you find unpleasant to be around.
Absolutely.
Or you don't particularly care for their company, or you don't like them very much. You don't like when they're around maybe friend groups that you have. And that's where social hazing comes in. It's the idea of like creating a rejection of space between you and other people because you don't want them either a part of your life or a part of the people around you's life, because they're just unpleasant for you to be. Whether they're unpleasant or not has nothing to do with it. They're unpleasant for you. And that's kind of what social hazing is.
I just think that we're completely capable of doing it in a way that isn't like mean. That's it. I think that.
Yeah, I know that there's a big emphasis when you talk about this issue between men and women, where for women, there's a value structure that they have around, I call it the cult of be nice, right? Where it's like, be nice means everything. Men aren't really that way. They don't really give a shit about nice, really. It's not all that important to us. And so we talk about the issue in a totally different way, right? That's how we discuss the issue. But I don't think that women, even though they ascribe to be nice, that box of be nice, I don't think they actually are. I think that they use...
I do not like the word nice.
Yeah,
I think kind, you can be kind
yes.
and good,
yeah.
But good is not equivalent to nice.
That's not equivalent to nice, yeah.
So it's hazing kind?
It can be very kind, yes.
Can be.
It's not, it's developing your...
No, it's not. It's called the gateway to bullying. You start there.
No. That's right. Well, okay, well then, I mean, speaking is a gateway to bullying then.
Well, I would also like to add,
social hazing is a lot more proximate because it's about judging others for something.
Yeah, we unfortunately though we make value judgments on things all day long and on people all day long, and that's good that we do.
You keep saying value judgments, but these are superficial.
No. I'm saying you make value judgments on people all the time, rightfully so. So, like for instance, if it's really late at night and there's a homeless guy who has a needle and it's going into his arm, right? My guess is you don't stick around that area very long, right? Well, you're judging his values, aren't you?
Okay, but then...
Hang on. Aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Yes,
completely.
you are. So you're making a value judgment.
And so what I do is I put distance between me and that person. But the kind of
socially haze
the kind of
yes,
social hazing you're talking about seems to be more like unwarranted comments and like actually going out of your way to say something to that person, like, oh, you should lose weight kind of thing.
I'm not
That's
sure
the examples you were giving earlier.
I'm not sure that it's unwarranted. I would consider what you just did there, where you're like, I'm not going to be anywhere around that, to be a form of social hazing.
Okay, I'll say I'm completely fine with that form of social hazing. Beyond that, I don't really agree with.
Are you sure? Like, I think I can think of a lot of times where maybe there would be people around who you don't particularly care for, right? But maybe you're getting to know them. And as you're getting to know them, maybe you guys, you're talking past each other a little bit, starts with a misunderstanding, and then maybe later on you become friends, right? The way that this is going, though, in the beginning, right, the reason you have misunderstandings and things like this is you're both kind of pressing each other. Now, you may be doing this on the undertone,
respectfully and maturely. Yeah.
Maybe, or maybe not, right? It depends on the person. And respectfully and maturely is going to mean different things to different people. Like for men, respect means something totally different than it does to women. And so does meanness. Meanness means something totally different to men than it does women.
Can we add context to this? Like, let's say there's a person in the street, they've got a needle from their arm, It's like, I think we are all within our rights. If we don't know this person, we're going to like, sorry, like, it's not my not my yard, not my problem. I'm going the other way.
But you're not
that's not bullying though, or even hazing. I think hazing is like, okay, now my close friend just fell off the wagon, and what do I do as a person? Will I be nice and just pretend I didn't see anything, or will I be kind and say, this is becoming a problem to not just yourself?
I don't believe that's social hazing.
But
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, that's not.
That's just looking out for your friend.
Hazing is like a totally different, like if you think of like sororities and fraternities, hazing is like you kind of
humiliate yourself.
Yeah,
can be
you like fuck with your friends, like just
mess with your friends, or if you have.
I mean, that I think you're just making a decision on how you want to position yourself.
Okay, so do I make fun of my friend? That's it. In order to get them to readjust their path?
Sometimes, for instance, it can be very healthy to do. Yeah.
In a helpful way. That seems like a fine balance versus like, let me just be straightforward with you.
Look, sometimes it is the case, and I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news here, but sometimes saying, look, what you're doing is kind of silly, doesn't work as well as you're a fucking idiot. And that's the truth. Sometimes saying, look, maybe you should calm down doesn't work as well as you need to shut the fuck up. Sometimes that form of interaction actually works better to adjust behavior than the cult of be nice. And I think, by the way, that women are just superficially nice most of the time anyway, not actually nice. It's just a very superficial way that they engage. And I think that men are kind of more open and honest about how it is that the basic human interactions work. Like your perception of me, if I was around my friend group, would be that we were really mean bastards. But we're really not. Like, we pick each other up. If someone's having problems, we make sure, like, they have financial issues, we're going to take care of it. If they got, social issues going on, we have their back, this and that. But we're going to call them all kinds of names, and we're going to rib them. We're going to make fun of them. We're going to clown on them. Mm-hmm. And, like, that's all part of the social interaction of people.
Yeah, I think that's totally cool between close friends and a friend group. I wouldn't say you should be, like, using that kind of language on maybe someone you don't know well.
I don't know. Usually we do it within 20 minutes of someone you just met. You're like, hey, you fucking idiot, look what you just did. And they're like, they give a lot. That's part of what social hazing is. Like, it's very common. It's very, very common for men to do this.
Mr. Wilson, have you heard? I know you're a very well-educated man, well-read, well-spoken. One of the things...
Definitely not well-educated, but...
Don't you have a degree in religious studies and... No?
No.
Okay, must have been wrong, Wilson. Okay.
You do your R&D.
My R&D was wrong. ChatGPT.
If only I had an OnlyFans, you would have known all of this.
She spent too much time R&Ing me, so.
Me and my boyfriend. Anyways, but okay, so I must
Wait,
say.
we're gonna melt down here. Okay, go ahead. What?
May I get a word?
Yeah.
My point being is there's a famous 19th century author by the name of Charles Baudelaire, who created this beautiful essay on laughter, saying that it is actually satanic due to people, like, for example, finding comedy of someone else's pain, someone who slips and falls. A lot of people who aren't involved will go and laugh at them and say, oh, that's, because it's just it's a guttural reaction. And I think it's pertinent because it's when people laugh, it's either due to the madness of their own superiority or to the inferiority of others. And I think that hazing is...
I was just about to say, do you think children laughing is satanic?
So that's... This is not...
I'm kind of lost right now.
There's a specific...
Are you quoting? What the fuck are you quoting?
So with a kid, with a kid, it's a bit of a different story. They mimic, they learn, and so when they're expressing joy, it's joy. Tickle is a bit different.
You know, I used to think a lot of the things you like with kids, for instance, that kids just mimic. Until I had them, they don't just mimic. They have their own little thoughts, and they have their own little they're little human beings. That's true in development. I agree with that, but they're not just mimickers. We're not born blank slates. People have personalities ingrained in them, and you can almost see it the day that they're born. You know, you can almost see it right away. And so I don't believe in blank slate theory. I don't think that kids just mimic what they see and that's what they become. I think they have a personality associated with it, and the environment correlates with that, and then from there they become the human being they're going to become. And I would just point this out too, that I was listening to a comedian this morning. It was cracking me up. He was talking about our jokes, right? He was talking about our jokes. And of course, those are taboo. You can never make those. They're terrible, right? They're horrible. But he made this great point. And he said, the reason that people made our jokes and laughed so hard about them, right? Everyone was laughing. It wasn't because they hated women. It's because when you think about all of the things that are funny, it's really shit that's fucking morbid and horrible. And the reason that we're laughing about it is because we're making sense of the morbid world that we live in, and we're giving it context in a way that we can kind of deal with it. And that's what the whole point of the best jokes really are. And if you really think about it, now, I mean, maybe not you, maybe not you, maybe every unclean joke is terrible and you have no sense of humor. But the thing is, for most people, kind of the more morbid the joke is, right, the funnier it can really be. And that's why he was saying, you gotta start drawing some lines here on what it is we can talk about, can't talk about. It comes to our jokes, or in this case, when it comes to social hazing, you're not allowed to do that because, well, after all, that could lead to bullying, or it's a gateway. And it's that just, I think, ignores human interactions altogether. So anyway, I'm done with my diatribe.
I was going to say, first of all, I'm not against every unclean joke. I'm all for edgy, dark humor here and there. But when it comes to our jokes, there's a lot of people who aren't laughing at our jokes or making them because they're trying to make sense of the morbid world we live in. They're making these jokes because they don't care about what women are going through, and because they don't take it seriously.
That's every joke.
But that's kind of a bad thing in this case.
So then no morbid jokes because somebody could be taking it seriously, or
no jokes made in that insensitive manner.
Yeah, right. Nobody's allowed anymore.
Is that what I said?
To laugh at insensitive jokes because you think they're insensitive, even though this is how we engage with the world. This is how
I'm saying no one should laugh at or make our jokes.
I know that you think that, but my argument to you is then why can they laugh at any insensitive joke? Who gets to decide which insensitive joke a person gets to laugh at and which one they don't?
Sure. So, I mean, with an R joke, you're making reference to women going through a traumatic experience and their consent being violated, and there's lots of
and when black people
assault.
are talking about slavery and making jokes about that, right? This horrible thing that's terrible. Right? What are they doing? They're contextualizing and they're laughing. When Blazing Saddles had a scene where it's the sheriff is the N-word, right, with a ding, and they were clowning on slavery and clowning on Jewish people and this type of thing. The whole point was trying to make sense of this horrifically morbid world that we live in. And how else do we engage with it except to laugh about it?
You can make sense of your own experiences or regarding your own demographic, but to laugh at someone else's suffering when it's
so then no insensitive jokes allowed.
Well, I would say there the line that I would draw is okay, well, it's obviously not going to be a clear line.
Yeah, it's not a clear line.
When it comes to it's just kind of common sense though.
It's not kind of common sense.
Okay, well, explain.
I find things funny that you don't find funny. And what makes it common sense that you're allowed to find them funny and I'm not?
Okay, let's say I have a friend who did something really stupid and I make fun of them for that, and that's an edgy joke or whatever. Your friends making fun of each other. That's one type of edgy joke. And then when it comes to an R joke, that's something that there's a lot more.
Okay, go ahead.
There's a lot more that's a lot more of a serious
We understand.
matter.
Do me a favor, scoot 3 inches that way, move your mic along with you. Halloween happened pretty recently. What do you think about people who dressed up as Charlie Kirk? I'm sure you've probably
I didn't know about that, actually.
Going to the very liberal college and university that you go to and being a confessed pretty leftist person, you seem to, at least the last conversation we had, also with you, you guys seemed a bit not so displeased with the fact that Charlie Kirk was assassinated.
I was very displeased. I made that very clear.
Given this, I'm sure there were people, college students, many leftists, who dressed up as Charlie Kirk with a fake wound to their neck as a Halloween costume. Do you think?
So when you
would you find that humorous?
I don't find that funny.
I want to make sure you're consistent in your objection to humor.
I don't find that funny because that's something that's like very serious, and he just died, and I think that's disrespectful. And also, like, you kind of pointed to me like, oh, people like you did that. I mean, I think there's a distinction that should be made between normal leftists and people like that.
Well, I just want to ensure that when you're going to be policing dark humor, that you don't just, you have a fair application of that which you're policing.
Okay, you know what? I think when it comes to crimes, traumatizing events, like that's where I say it's kind of a weird zone.
Okay, so that's consistent.
So if Family Guy makes like a 9/11 joke, no good? Too dark?
I mean, I personally wouldn't make it. Again, I don't, even when I say like I'm not a huge fan of this kind of joke, I don't go around like policing people and saying, hey, don't say that, don't say that.
Yeah, but
I just surround myself with people who have a better sense of humor.
I get that.
Because you can be funny with
I understand that, like, for you personally, that's probably the case. But you would admit, I think, right, that there's tons of left-wing organizations that do. And they do deplatform people for making those jokes. And they do actually try to, make it so that people become depersoned for life for making those jokes.
I mean, I think that's like a free speech thing, and I don't believe in depersoning or deplatforming people.
Yeah, right. But
you can cancel people. That's not free speech.
But I think it's the very idea that people advocate the idea that anything is so insensitive that it's just you're just not allowed to go after it. I agree. Like, look, some of that shit makes me mad. Like when the Charlie Kirk stuff happens, makes me mad.
Makes me mad too.
And I'm like, look, what are you fucking doing, you piece of shit? Sure, that's terrible. That's awful. You know what I mean? But on the other hand,
why does that make you mad and not an our joke?
But it making me mad doesn't mean that I'm don't understand that people like this who may be saying insensitive things or having sensitive jokes that offend my delicate sensibilities, right, aren't actually doing that because they're trying to make sense of the morbid sense of the world. Now, there's a difference.
I don't think that's what's going through a lot of people's
There's a difference between that and like the guy deserved it. That should have happened to him. That's a different thing altogether, I think.
But even people who are doing it like that, they're not like trying to. That's not the process. That's not the thought process that's going on in people's heads. A lot of people who are making.
How do you know what's going on in their heads?
Because of the sheer amount of people who make jokes about Charlie Kirk out of like just like blatant disrespect and like, oh, I hate him, F him.
Those people are the majority of people.
Those people
are making the intent known. So, like, for instance, somebody's making an R joke and they're like, "Yeah, those bitches deserved it."
That's most of our joke makers.
No, it's not. The thing is like, look, if that's the case, it's like maybe you have a leg to stand on there, right? But just like you would with the Charlie Kirk thing. But it's like just to make a joke. In regard, and it has the R word somewhere in it, you know what I mean? And people laugh, and now it's just too insensitive, or a racial joke or something like that. It's like, at some point, you got to stop the oversensitive, like being overly sensitive to these things, because it takes away a useful tool people have for dealing with the world.
You can make sense of the world and of events in much better ways. Just educate yourself.
How do you know? Like, what makes you think that you get to govern?
Because I understand these events and I understand these things without having to make these jokes.
How do you know that you can govern how people interact with the world with humor? Like, humor's really...
I'm not governing others.
Yeah, humor's really intersubjective, and it's really personalized. And the thing is like, you can say an offensive thing to someone, you didn't even mean it to be offensive,
But it's also not just about you and how you're using tools to make sense of things in the world.
Yeah, it's about everybody but you.
No.
It's about the nebulous whole.
No, I'm saying it's about also having just respect for example, like women who've gone through that, or people who like 9/11 or Charlie Kirk. Like, I think it's good to just have respect and like a certain level of sensitivity towards things like that. The same way the Charlie Kirk thing pissed you off, which I think it's really interesting that bothers you, but then like our jokes don't bother you.
Do you see the distinction of somebody saying, didn't I already qualify this? Like, if somebody said, Charlie Kirk had that coming good. He deserved it.
That's what people are saying. That's what people were dressing up as him.
Oh, she had it coming. She deserved it. No, they're not saying that.
So do you think they're like, oh, that event was so shocking. Let me dress up as him for Halloween so I can process this shocking event?
I think there's some people who didn't think that he had that coming and just were trying to be edgy. I think that's the case. I've talked to him. Like, I talked to him on TikTok. I didn't think that... Now, there was also some of them who I fucking knew okay, and they would tell me, they'd be like, yeah, I wish that guy would fucking die. Good.
But do you notice how you can be a normal individual who just like sees what happens and processes it normally without dressing up as him, and how that's maybe like a better thing to do?
I get it, but we have
That's
to have,
what I'm saying.
but you have to have contextualization for things.
Contextualize things normally and don't be a weirdo who makes rude jokes.
Well, what's normal? Is trans normal?
What?
Is trans normal?
Are trans people normal?
Yeah, is being trans normal?
I mean, it's not like most people aren't trans, so I guess it's not typical.
It's not normal, so we can't. So then, I should process trans people the normal way by being like, well, it's not normal. Is that how I should do that?
Okay, I'm struggling to understand how you're like.
Well, I'm just saying
when
you make these appeals to normalcy. And if you make an appeal to normalcy, you're like appealing to, well, that's not normal. What you're doing is not normal. It's irregular. It's not normal. It's like, well, then you have to apply that to everything that's not normal. Then.
Okay, so are you saying like how does someone process the existence of trans people, given that it's not a common thing?
I think they use humor.
You say, okay, you want to identify that way. I'm going to mind my own business.
I think they use humor. That's what I think. I think most people use humor to process it for the more. Yeah.
I mean, most people don't make our jokes and dress up as Charlie Kirk and joke about that kind of thing.
I agree. Most people don't do that. But
I'm glad most people don't do that.
But I do think that people make very morbid jokes about Charlie Kirk that don't mean him harm. Just like I think that
And I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think it's good to make fun
I know
of Charlie
you
Kirk.
don't. But my point is, again, I know you don't think so. But I'm making the case that I do think so.
A lot of people don't think so.
Yeah, but that's nice. But I'm just saying, like,
and that's a better society than if everyone were.
How do you know that that's a better? It doesn't seem like curtailing what people can say is a better society.
It's one based on less judgment and out of more respect for other people.
Is that it? Is that what our highest value should be? Just less judgment on people? Because society's gotten pretty fucked up since we stopped judging people. It's gotten pretty fucked up. In case you didn't know, what age do you think you're going to be able to buy a house?
Hopefully in my late 20s.
Oh, hopefully in your late 20s, maybe early 30s.
I don't have my whole life planned out. I'm 18.
Yeah, I know, but maybe your early 30s. You know,
depends on the trajectory of my career.
It gets worse and worse and worse every single year, right?
Okay, are we talking about the economy now, or judgment?
It's not just the economy; it's the entire judgment of society. The way in which we engage with society at large has now been put into this box of be nice, and it's like, maybe if we were a little meaner, it'd be like. No, fuck that. You shouldn't have to wait till you're 30 to buy a house, right? Now, fuck that, and fuck you.
Or maybe you shouldn't have to wait until you're 30 to buy a house. Or maybe you can look over and you can be like, maybe a lot of these SA cases actually would go down if it were the case that people interacted better with the environments that they were in, with the clothing that they wore, and the people that they were around. Like, that makes fucking sense to people. And it's like, well, that's too much. You can't say that. And it's like, I think you can and should. You can say something without making a stupid joke about it.
Yeah, but I mean, how that's processed by people is often through humor. That's my point.